At the conclusion of his recent Middle Eastern trip, Pope Francis met with Patriarch Bartholomew I, the de facto head of the Eastern Orthodox Church, and the two planned for an historic meeting to be held in the Turkish city of Iznik, formerly known as Nicaea, in 2025. The two men, who are both in their 70s, will probably either be dead or retired by then, so the gathering is one they have ostensibly ordained in advance for their successors. The meeting's location is significant, as Nicaea is the site of two former ecumenical councils in which the basic tenets of what defines Christianity were codified in 325 of the Common Era. The first council was gathered at the behest of then Emperor Constantine, who wanted a unified, definitive version of Christianity. In the absence of a contemporary emperor, it seems unlikely that a modern-day Nicene Synod will even be as effective in that regard as the first, which ended in a schism that separated the Eastern Orthodoxy from the Catholic Holy See, a schism which still exists and is even more fractured today. After a nearly 5-year legal maneuver by opponents to close the Islamic Center in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, the U.S. Supreme Court has declined to hear an appeal of the case involving a public notice in Rutherford County. The appeal, which was originally filed in September 2011, argued that the church failed to give adequate public notice before the county moved forward with a request to build the church. Murfreesboro, which has a population of about 112,000 people, sits about 30 miles south of Nashville. Scores of protesters publicly came out against the church in 2010, and evangelical Pat Robertson said the church would be a mega mosque, arguing that Muslims were plotting to take over Murfreesboro. An arsonist also torched construction equipment at the building site in protest. The church has one other legal roadblock, namely a lawsuit involving an application of the county zoning board to house a cemetery at the church site. We're hoping that the cemetery lawsuit will also be dismissed soon and our community will heal, church board member Salas Batani said. We will celebrate together the fabric of our community. We are getting more diverse. Although the U.S. military employs Christian ministers to serve as chaplains for the armed services and the U.S. Navy recently made Humanist a religious designation, the Navy's chief of chaplains has nonetheless denied a request for what would have been its first atheist chaplain. Jason Heap, who submitted an application to become a Humanist chaplain, was a licensed Christian minister before leaving the faith and becoming a secular humanist. He holds degrees from the University of Oxford and Texas Christian University. As reported by the Los Angeles Times, Heap wanted to bring spiritual support and guidance to both believers and non-believers who were serving in the military. Heap said he thought he could be an asset in the multicultural landscape of the U.S. military. As both a humanist and a scholar in religion, I have deep knowledge and understanding of world religions. Heap said, "My purpose and focus as a chaplain will be for holistic well-being of anyone who is in need of pastoral care." In a statement released by the Navy, the branch said it could only approve half the applications it received. Due to the highly competitive nature of the board, less than 50% of the applicants can be recommended for a commission in the United States Navy, Chris Cervello said in a press release. While some evangelical Christians expose sharp disapproval of the notion of atheist chaplains in the military, secularists have often maintained that religious military chaplains are unconstitutional based on the Establishment Clause. Republicans in the House of Representatives have supported the passage of legislation that would not allow atheists to become chaplains in the military. By definition, chaplains minister to the spiritual needs of our men and women in the armed services, a vital function that an individual without an inclination towards spirituality would not be able to perform, Representative John Fleming, who proposed the new law, said. Leaders from secular groups expressed disappointment in the Navy's recent decision. The Humanist Society and the Military Association of Atheists and Freethinkers have provided years of outreach and a great chaplain candidate to the military, Jason Torpy, president of the organization, said. We hope non-chaplain military leaders swiftly overturn this discriminatory decision. Roy Speckhart, executive director of the American Humanist Association, also disagreed on Heap's application denial. Prejudice is not an American value, Speckhart said.